Yes, let's complete the lesson. As physical control over his body diminished, he would be forced to use a wheelchair by 1969. The effects of his disease started to slow down. So, Stephen Hawking finally started losing control, physical control over his body. And he was forced to use wheelchair by 1969. Even the effects of his disease had started to slow down. It was less active. Over time, however, Hawking's ever-expanding career was accompanied by an ever-worsening physical state. So, as the time was passing, Hawking's career was expanding, it was growing, but at the same time, his physical state was worsening. It was becoming bad day by day. By the mid 1970s, the Hawking family had taken in one of Hawking's graduate students to help manage his care and work. So, in order to take care and work for Hawking, the Hawking family had taken help of one of his graduate students. He could easily feed himself and get out of bed, but virtually everything else required assistance. But otherwise, everything else required assistance. He could still, Stephen Hawking could still feed himself, he could eat on his own, and he can go out of his bed. But other things required assistance. Assistance means help. In addition, his speech had become increasingly slurred so that only those who knew him well could understand him. So, because his speech had become increasingly slurred, it was not very distinct and it had become very indistinct, it was inaudible. And whatever he spoke, only those who knew him well could understand what he was speaking, what he wanted. So, uh, this was the condition of his speech. In 1985, he lost his voice for good following a tracheotomy. Tracheotomy means an incision in the windpipe made to relieve an obstruction to breathing. So when he went through this tracheotomy, he lost his voice. The resulting situation required 24-hour nursing care for the acclaimed physicist. Acclaimed means highly praised, much admired physicist, that is Stephen Hawking. So now he required 24-hour nursing care. We have two questions. In the mid 1970s, what did the Hawking's family do? So in the mid 1970s, the Hawking family took one of Hawking's graduate students to help manage Hawking's care and work. Second question, why was Hawking forced to use a wheelchair? So Hawking was forced to use a wheelchair because the physical control over his body had diminished. It also put in peril Hawking's ability to do his work. Now, Hawking had lost his voice, and because of this, the ability to do his work was also put in peril. Peril means in serious and immediate danger. The predicament. Predicament means this difficult and unpleasant situation. The unpleasant situation where he had lost his voice caught the attention of a California computer programmer who had developed a speaking program that could be directed by head or eye movement. So this computer programmer had developed a speaking program which used to function by head and eye movement. The invention allowed Hawking to select words on a computer screen that were then passed through a speech synthesizer. So how did this program work? Hawking used to select words on his computer screen, and then they were passed through the speech synthesizer. The synthesizer is an electronic machine that produces and controls sound for reproducing speech. At the time of its introduction, Hawking, who still had use of his fingers, selected his words with a handheld clicker. Now, when this program was introduced and Hawking was using this program, he still was able to move his fingers. He had control over the movement of his fingers, and therefore he used to select the words with a handheld clicker which was given to him. Today, with virtually all control of his body gone, Hawking directs the program through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. So, but today the situation has changed because today virtually means nearly all the control which Hawking had over his movements has gone. And now this program is working through a cheek muscle attached to a sensor. So I hope you know what are sensors. Children, the meaning is already given over here. And at many places you might have seen sensors when you go to malls or when you go to uh, branded shops. You will find that the door opens on its own, right? So as you move towards the door and as you move away from the door closes, right? So this is automatic and this happens because sensors are installed. So that is what is told over here, that through the sensor which is attached um, and through this cheek muscle, now the program is being operated by Stephen Hawking. Through the program and help of assistants, Stephen Hawking has continued to write at a prolific rate. So Stephen Hawking has lost control over his body, his entire movements, but he still continues to write at a prolific rate. Um, Very creatively, he is writing with the help of his assistants and the program, the computer program, which he uses and which was designed by the California computer programmer. His work has included numerous scientific papers, of course, but also information for the non-scientific community. The work which he has done, it includes numerous scientific papers which he has published, but along with it, the work also has information about non-scientific community, the people who are non-scientific by nature. For them also, he has provided a lot of information. Hawking's health, of course, remains a constant concern, a worry that was heightened in 2009 when he failed to appear at conference in Arizona because of a chest infection. So his health is deteriorating and therefore it is a constant concern for everyone. In April, Hawking, who had already announced he was retiring after 30 years from the post of Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge, was rushed to the hospital for being what university officials described as gravely ill. So when he announced his retirement, he was rushed to the hospital during that time, and it was described that he was very seriously ill. It was later announced that he was expected to make a full recovery. So later on, it was announced that he had completely recovered. So, but children, as I had told you, we don't have Stephen Hawking amongst us now. But yes, he is a fantastic role model for uh, future generation, for you all, right? Because we learn a lot from his life. We learn that disabilities can't stop you from achieving your goals. We also learn that there is always something to live for, right? And we need to strive hard in order to make a difference in our life. So a lot of things Stephen Hawking's biography has taught us. So children, we have two questions here. Let us answer those questions. What do Stephen Hawking works include? So his work include numerous scientific papers and information for non-scientific community. Second question, what remains a constant anxiety? So Stephen Hawking's health remains a constant anxiety. So I hope children, the lesson is clear to you. Thank you very much.